people, how are you all? I'm back with another video, and this time it's neither a recommendation nor a review. This time I'm just gonna talk about authors I fell in love with right after reading their first novel. Not like their first novel, but my first novel of them. So confusing, I know, right? Well, just listen me out. So yeah, if you have been here before, welcome back, and if you're new, welcome. This is Mansi from Readers and Creators. Basically, I can say that I have a biased love for these authors. I wouldn't listen anything bad about them. Like, constructive criticism is acceptable, and I even do it myself. Being a writer myself, I know and I think we can never attain the principle of perfection in writing. We improve, we develop with every single work of ours. So these authors, they might not be perfect in each book, but because I fell in love with them right after reading first book by them, I think that I will just let go the little imperfections in their next books or their earlier books when they were just beginning as a writer. So yeah, without any further ado and without blabbering much about my love for these authors, I'm just gonna tell you who are these authors. First in the list is Khaled Hosseini. Every reader is familiar with his name, and I don't think any person who have read a book by him can hate him or dislike him or DNF his book. It's nearly impossible. Well, my first book by him was The Kite Runner, and it was so intense, so deep, so painful. Pain. I mean, while watching a movie or a show or something on TV, we can feel the pain by seeing the characters, their expressions, their emotions, and that's like something so general, so possible, and like expected of us. But while reading a book, going into those words, imagining that scenario, just imagining the expressions of the character and then feeling that pain, that's the art of word, and this author has that in abundance. Khaled Hosseini is an Afghan-American writer, and his writing is generally about, like, all of his books are about Afghanistan and how Taliban and everything affected that. I have read each one book by him, The Kite Runner. Then I read The Thousand Splendid Suns, and I fell in love with him even more. Then I read And the Mountains Echoed, which was not as good as the other two, but like till then I was biased. And then I read The Sea Prayer, which was so intensely heart-wrenching. Second in the list is Fredrik Backman. He's a Swedish author, and his works are translated in English. My first book by him was A Man Called Ove, or / Ove. Ove's character was a type of character I haven't read earlier. Like, I have read young adults, and there were teenagers falling in love and like getting into a relationship. There were mature teenagers, stupid teenagers, and all kind of sorts in that. I have read about women, so I have came across women who were vulnerable and weak, then women who were resilient and strong. But Ove's character, like a old person who is so annoying, frustrating, grumpy all the time, and then he has that soft, kind, humble, great heart hidden deep within his body. And when I met Ove, I was like, oh my god, seriously, oh my god. His characters are so deep. Like, you have to observe them, you have to notice, you have to just see what they are doing, how they are doing it. You won't fall in love with those characters right away. You will fall in love with them after finishing the book, and they will remain with you forever. So Fredrik Backman's art of exploring the characters is what made me fall in love with his writings. One speciality of Fredrik Backman is, in all his books, he explores small towns. He doesn't talk about metropolitan cities or villages, just small towns where a society developed in an area. Everyone knows everyone. After I read Beer Town. After Beer Town, I read Annie Mary. And every single book, God, I love this author, seriously love. And if you haven't read any book by him, just pick that up, please. Start with O, just right away. Third in the list is Chiranjeevi Banarji. She is an Indian author, And my first book by her was The Palace of Illusions, which is retelling of Mahabharata from a Draupadi's point of view. Now, Mahabharata, being a Hindu, I know the story by heart. I have heard it from a very young age, from my dadi, nani and everyone. And I know the role of Draupadi. I know what happened. I know Karna, I know Arjun, everything. And still after reading this book, I was so moved. I have huge and new respect for Draupadi. I have new point of view for Mahabharata. I had new perspective for women of mythology, and this all happened because of her writing. Palace of Illusions is a masterpiece, and it's an art, like how through words you can make someone fall in love with your writing for a story which they already know, for a story where they know what's going to happen next. They know which character is gonna do what. And still, you just clung to that. You just keep turning pages and there's no end to it. And when you finish the book, there's this fulfilling feeling in you that you got to read this book. After Palace of Illusions, I read The Forest of Enchantments, which is about Sita's point of view in Ramayana. And that was even more great. I was totally amazed. Like, Draupadi has that image where she is portrayed as angry woman, and because of her anger, whole Mahabharata happened. But Sita is like someone so innocent, naive, and submissive to the rules and tradition, and so obeying to the traditions and pativrata, that word. So reading Forest of Enchantments and getting to know the other side of Sita and getting to realize that the Ramayana we know is from a male's perspective, is about the humbleness and greatness of Lord Rama, is about the bravery and loyalty of Lord Lakshman. And we talk about Sita being an obedient wife, being a principled woman. And Chiranjeevi Banarji talked about what Sita faced, what she might have felt as a daughter, as a wife, as a mother, and finally as a woman. So that's why I fell in love with Chiranjeevi Banarji's writing. After The Forest of Enchantments, I read Oleander Girls by her. She wrote in her starting years as a writer, and that was not as impressive, but I think I connected her more with the mythological stories, more with the, like, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So it was on my part also hard to connect her with like general story, but her niche is talking about women. So I am impressed initially, and then her writing made me fall in love with more. That's why I have this biased love for her. Next is Kristen Hanna. She is an American author, and my first book by her was The Nightingale, which I recently finished few months back. And my god, what a writer she is. I mean, wow, those characters. Also, The Nightingale is about women in French resistance during World War II, and that book is one of its kind. Like, there's no other book talking about women during that period in France. And she started searching for that topic, and when she came across that there's no book on French resistance of women, she wrote it herself. There are two sisters in this book, and what impressed me to the core is one sister was so like bounded in the rules and traditions of society, of a family, of how a woman should behave in that era, like obedient to her husband, like a good mother, like a good wife and housewife, everything. And this second sister, the younger one, she is a rebel. She fights. She is reckless. She wants to do things. She wants to explore the world. She wants to fight what's happening around her. She wants to question. And they are two sisters. And Kristen Hanna's writing didn't make you feel that the rebel kind of girl was so empowered and the housewife kind of girl was not that much. But she just developed both her characters at the same time, and it gives me the perspective that it's not necessary for a woman to be empowered when she is in a profession, in a job, in a work, or when she is out in the world. She can be as empowered as in the house as she is in outer world, as she is in her profession, as she is in her work field. And Kristen Hanna made that difference loud and clear. And that's why I just loved this. I haven't read any book by her till then, but as I said, I will blindly pick any book by her now. Last but not the least is Amol Tavis, the American author, and I recently finished his book, A Gentleman in Moscow, and I can't talk enough about it. This book is gonna be classic in upcoming years. After finishing that book, I was like, Jeevan samarth ho gaya mera. It's worth living and it's worth being a reader. It's worth reading this book. That book is a gem. It's a treasure. And I know it's already hyped on Bookstagram, but I think it's hyped less. And I'm gonna do the rest of the work. I'm gonna hype it everywhere. I'm gonna do a single video about it on YouTube. I'm gonna post stories about it on Instagram, make posts about it. I'm gonna do everything I can in my power to make all of you read that book. I haven't read other book by him. He has written only two, A Gentleman in Moscow and Rules of Civility, I guess. But I'm definitely gonna read the second one because I am in love with him. The most. And if you haven't read A Gentleman in Moscow, read it. So these were the 5 authors. If you have read any book by them and you love any of them as much as I love them, just comment down and subscribe my channel. You have been subscribing it and thank you for that. And I am doing my part. I am being consistent here, not ghosting on you. Till then, keep reading, be safe, be happy. Thank you for watching my video. Subscribe my channel and follow all my social media accounts. And yeah,